What was your formula? How did you approach your batting?
I think if you ask a lot of people, they'll say probably too loosely, because I love to play shots and I'd love to hit the ball in there. And sub-district cricket, they would, bowl line and length and put the fielders around, They wouldn't put too many fielders in the outfield. And by the time they worked me out, I think I'd retired by then. So that was my strength. I would hit the ball in the air quite a lot, but I had confidence in, that I wasn't just going to clear the field or get caught. And I can't remember too many times, getting caught on the fence or, and I would be very risky. So I'd clip the ball off my pads off middle stump. And I think, it would take them 30 or 40 runs by the time they put a, deep square leg, and then, it was probably too late. So yeah, that was my strength there.
Yeah. And your mental approach to batting?
I mean, I wouldn't complicate it too much. I mean, lots of side had decent bowlers, but there wasn't a great outstanding bowler that you would think, I've got to watch him, during the game or anything like that, or before the game, or you'd talk about. So I wouldn't complicate it too much. You'd walk in, sometimes the wickets weren't covered. I remember the first year, I'm trying to remember whether they had covers or not, but I remember playing on, wickets that were soft that, they wouldn't even get on now. Yeah. So I think that sort of taught you that, you have to tough it out in sub-district cricket. You can't just walk in there and, you don't want to hit the ball all over the park. So it took me a while to, learn that, but that was really my approach. I would just, have an open mind going into bat and not preconceive anything. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds as though you valued your wicket as you go.
Yeah, you did. I mean, there was, always runs to be made, and you always wanted to make runs as a batsman, because I only bowled sort of part-time. So I knew I'd be, out for 80 overs in the field the next week.
It was a reasonably strong batting lineup with yourself, obviously. What was the bowling attack like?
The bowling, we had Dale Carpenter. Of course, we had, the legendary Ronnie Brentle there. Then we had Ravi. Then we had another young quick from Sri Lanka. And then we had Ross. So we had a variety. We had a good attack. And, everyone, like I said, that the years we won the flag, and even, the years we didn't win the flag, there was no real standout bowler or batsman. Everyone contributed, and, and one thing that we did do is we had a really good fielding side. We caught a lot of catches in the slips, and so that was a hallmark of our team. We had a good all-round team. Yeah.
Good to hear, because Preston historically been known as good fielding sides. Who did you enjoy playing with? I know they're all your mates, but who was sort of the favourite one?
There were characters in our team. Dale Carpenter was he had a lot to say on the field. Ronnie Brents, we had to hold him back most of the time. The Scotty, Scott behind the wickets. Scott and Steve Harvey would chirp a bit, because Scott would be behind the wickets and Steve would be at short legs. So I don't think many sides wanted to come and play Preston, because they would definitely be up for the fight cricket wise, but also they would leave there hearing a few things that they didn't want to listen to. So a lot of sides, while they respected us because we played hard cricket, they knew they would were in for a tough game on and off the field. So
you mentioned you became good friends with Brian Duggan, because he often took you to games. He's a funny man. Have you got any funny stories about?
Yeah, there's lots of funny stories. I think Brian originally started taking me home thinking that, at some stage I'll get my driver's license, and then he can have a few more beers, and then I can drive him home. But that never worked out, because I don't think I got my driver's license for about 5 years until I came here.
Yes.
So yeah, he was great. I mean, there's that many times that he has picked me up and dropped me off, and even after training, he would drop me off on the way. And I'm sure he had a quicker route to go to Moorabbin, but he would go past Blackburn or Bentley or wherever I lived and drop me off. So
yes.
Brian was fantastic. But that was a club, though. They couldn't do enough to help you out, or make sure you were okay. And they knew my circumstances, that I was here out by myself, and. But that was Preston. So,
what's the fondest part about Preston that you remember?
I think the people that played, from Dick to Pete and June. from then, it's the people that made that club, and that's my fondest memory of the club. And even, I speak to Richard on and off, or even if I call, Gus or, Ronnie or Neil, or, they've always had time for me. So I think that I will keep that memory for a long time. Yeah.
When you've played 7 or 8 years in subby, there's always a club you don't like playing against.
Yeah, we probably never wanted to play Broadmeadows, I think. As a tough game, we love beating Ivanhoe. I knew that because we lost to them in the home and away games and lost the final. And I remember when we beat them in the final, that was a good feeling. And I remember one semi-final. It was an absolutely close semi-final against Broadmeadows, and I think I might have thrown the stumps down and we won by 5 runs after I think their last pair put on 70. And I remember this guy who had played Test cricket, Ravi Ratnayake, doing somersaults on the ground. So, because I think he got sledged on the boundary, and but yeah, Brody was it was an interesting game. I mean, I had a few friends I knew from there, but they were always tough to play. Yeah.
Over your entire career, I remember you telling me as a youngster you played against Wasim.
Yeah, so straight out of school, there was Pakistan were touring. There was a 3-day game, and they picked a handful of schoolboy cricketers to play in the. It was the under-23 side that played Pakistan, and yeah, straight out of school, facing bowlers bowling at 110 and 120, and then Wasim rocks up and probably bowls at 140. I don't think there were speed guns at that time, but I don't think he was 19. I think he didn't slow, him and Imran. So that was an experience. I mean, I think I faced him probably 3 overs, and out of the 18 balls, I might have put bat on 1. Yes. It was just, I don't think I was good enough to put the bat on ball. So that was just it.
Yes. Did you play against any other players of that sort of caliber?
Mm-hmm. So Pakistan, that was the only test side sort of I played against. But I remember in England, ruling England, we played against Mark Ramprakash. He came to the club as well later on. And I think he's now English batting coach. I think he played a couple of tests and a 1-day as well for him. And Angus Fraser played in that under-19 side against us. Okay. So yeah, those are the sort of names that that come to mind.
Yeah. And did you play in England?
No, I just toured with the under-19 side. I never went and played in England. I always had an, idea of coming to Australia. I always wanted to come here because as a child, I remember with my father, listening to the Ashes on radio. Mm-hmm. And always, I remember listening to the game at the MCG and always thinking I'd love to go to the G to watch, watch an Ashes test match. Yeah. So I'd never had an inclination to go to England.
After you left Preston, you went and played closer to home?
Yeah, I played in the VTCA. I played 2 seasons. I mean, the cricket was all right. It was, but I lost the passion for playing. The club was different. People were different. I mean, if you made runs, they were happy with you. If you didn't make runs, they were, they would. But I mean, that's life. And so 2 years after that, I think I stopped playing and sort of retired very early, basically. But I have no regrets.
What are your passions outside of cricket?
Passions, of course, I follow the Hawks. I mean, I lived with a friend when I first came, and he was a Hawks supporter, and he took me to a Hawks game. And if I tell anyone that, they'll say that, Hawks, when the Hawks were doing well, I followed them, and that's how I became a Hawks supporter. But then I follow Melbourne Storm. I love going to the rugby. And food is my real passion. So I finish up work now, and I've got a little cafe, and I've got a food truck. So that's going to be my next chapter in my life.
Rohan, we've sort of come to the end of our time. It's just been a fascinating discussion. I've really enjoyed meeting with you, and I'm sure everyone past and present are going to enjoy hearing the great man himself. So thank you very much, Rohan.
Thank you very much for having me, Lee. All the best, and I'll come down to Preston soon.